Now, ski bindings are perhaps the least sexy of the gear that you'll be buying. Safety, functionality, and durability are the name of the game here. In simple terms, ski bindings just have two jobs: to keep you attached to your ski on the downhill, and then to allow you to detach from the ski when you want to, or rather when you need to during a tumble. When you're looking for a binding, you can break down the characteristics into din, retention, boot sole norm, and durability. The first thing you'll need to figure out is what din you need. So din refers to the industry standard of force required to release a boot from a binding. And this value is standardized across the whole industry. So the din setting will be the same no matter what brand you decide to go for. This is important to get right, as it could be the difference between, say, a pain-free Jerry of the Day yard sale and something a little more nasty if the ski doesn't release. Calculating your din takes into account your weight and ski style. Plug these two factors into the table and it will tell you the winning number. Start with this, and as you gain more experience on the mountain, you'll know if you need to bump it up or down a notch. Most adult bindings will have a good range of adjustment. Often a lower end model will have a din range of 3 to 11, and an upper model will have a range of 6 to 16. Aim to get something where you'll sit in the middle of this range. So for example, if you're a din of 6, aim for the lower end, and if you have a din of 10, aim for the upper end. But that being said, all bindings are calibrated, so as long as you don't go past the stated range, they'll work correctly for you. An important characteristic of any ski binding is the amount of retention on offer. Retention, also known as elasticity, is basically how well the binding is able to hold your boot to the ski as you're arcing some high-speed turns. This retention can be through elasticity both in the toe or heel units. And it's usually marked in millimeters, showing how many millimeters the binding allows the boot to travel side to side or forwards and backwards. Linked to retention is forward pressure. Now, forward pressure is basically how well the binding can keep pressure onto the back of your heel as your ski flexes throughout the turn. So when your ski flexes, your binding moves away from the back of your heel. So forward pressure basically just makes up for this and really jams the binding against the back of your boot. The next aspect of selecting a binding is to ensure that it can work with your boot sole. The main styles are Alpine, Grip Walk, Walk to Ride, and Touring soles. These styles refer to the shape and size of the heel and toe pieces of the boot. Go back a few years and there was just one single standard din norm, making it a really easy choice. But now with grippy rubber soles and touring rocker, there are a few different options out there. They do have a habit of changing fairly regularly, so be aware. If you have standard Alpine soles, then any Alpine binding should work together with that boot. But if you have a different sole, say like a touring sole, then double check the binding can accept them. The final thing to consider when you're buying a new pair of bindings is what brake width you need. This is pretty simple to figure out though. Just check the width of your ski and select a brake width slightly wider. If you go too narrow, then the brake won't deploy properly, and too wide and the brakes will drag as you carve trenches on the piste. And there you go then. That's just about everything there is to know about buying a pair of ski bindings. If you do have any questions, then just pop a comment below and I'll try to answer them as soon as possible. And if you're ready to grab yourself a pair of ski bindings, then head over to our friends at Surf Dome to check out their range. I'll pop a link down below. See ya.